Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first podcast of TR Terror. I'm Rafe, and this is Trent.
Hello.
Alright, so today, just to have a starter video, we are going to start off by, we predicted the entire season of the NFL, and we've predicted the playoffs too, and we're going to be seeing who...
We'll be analyzing and just really nitpicking everything we did, seeing what we did wrong, what we did right, everything that's way wrong.
Yeah. So yeah, we are a podcast about sports. Our main is football, but we also talk about the Olympics when it's on, baseball, and hockey.
I like how you started with the Olympics.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's.
We'll also be talking about hockey that he missed, and basketball, and just all kinds of sports.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, let's get it started.
All right. So, who do you want to start with? What division?
We'll start with the AFC.
Okay, but like what division?
Oh, AFC North.
AFC North. All right. So
We'll go north, south, east, west.
north, south, east, west.
Yes.
Nest. No, that's nest.
All right, come on.
All right. All right. So my fourth seed for the AFC North is none other than the Cleveland Browns, going 7-9.
Reasonable, very reasonable.
Reasonable. I just don't think that I think they have all the talent in the world, but their coaching is so terrible.
I agree.
All right. Yep. I think the Browns, if they could sneak out a 10-6 or a 9-7 to get that 7th seed this year, but I just don't see it happening. It's just the classic Browns.
Their new head coach does seem pretty good, though, but it's the Browns, so they'll find a way to mess them up.
I know. The one game, like the first week, they play Baltimore, and I think everyone knows how that's going to go.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a pretty tough schedule. I actually think it's a grace that I'm giving them a 7 wins, actually.
Yeah, that's pretty generous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead and announce yours.
What's that?
I said go ahead.
Oh, okay. So, 4th place for the AFC North for me, with a 6-10 record, is going to be a shocker. It's going to be the Ravens. The reasoning behind this is because I think Lamar Jackson will get hurt mid-season, beginning of the season. I just don't think he's going to be able to keep up. It's tough. I mean, he doesn't get touched very often, so I don't know how that would happen, but I do believe he is going to get injured sometime this season. Yeah.
Yep.
What do you think about that?
I honestly, I agree with you. I think someday someone's just going to pound him, and then I think he'll lose all his confidence. And one thing I wanted to point out, real quick, I'm looking at these schedules right now on my computer. I'm looking at things, and it's saying, like, tickets for, like, Buffalo at Las Vegas. It's, like, tickets as low as $308. Or Indianapolis at Chicago, tickets as low as $96. Then there's Cleveland at Dallas, and it says tickets as low as $29.
That's depressing.
Yeah, that is pretty depressing. Well, it's the Browns. And Jacksonville at Cincinnati's tickets as low as $33, so.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Very depressing.
So depressing.
So, back on track. What is your 3rd place in the AFC North?
3rd place for the AFC North, also at 7-9, is the Cincinnati Bengals.
The Bengals, Joe Burrow.
Now, yes, I get they drafted Joe Burrow in the 1st round, who I think will grow up to be a solid quarterback.
Yes. And again, he is on the Bengals.
Yes, that's true. but I think he'll grow up to be a solid quarterback. It's just not this year. He needs a year to warm himself up to the NFL. Excuse me. He needs. Excuse me again. He needs to get a year to warm himself up in the NFL, and he just doesn't have all the tools that he needs around him. It's basically just a one-man team with Joe Burrow, and that's it. Maybe
True.
Joe Mixon is a good, solid running back.
Joe Mixon's like 50-50.
Yeah,
He's either really good or just not too great.
And he does have two decent wide receivers with AJ
He does
Green
have Tyler, AJ
and
Green
Tyler Boyd.
Yeah.
But they don't have a good offensive line. Terrible
True.
defense.
Yeah.
I just don't think defense. If you score a lot of points, it won't matter if the other team scores a lot of points too. So, go ahead, Trent.
All right. In third place for the AFC North, I have the Cleveland Browns at 8-8. I have them there because Baker Mayfield and Browns. It's the Browns. 8-8 just sounds good. I mean, they got a solid team once again. OBJ, everybody, but they're the Browns.
Yeah.
It's like the only way you can explain them at this point.
Although
They don't use their players correctly, and maybe they will. Maybe they'll turn it around this season.
Yeah. Although we did overhype the Browns. I didn't. I was not on the overhyped train for the Browns.
Yes.
I did not think they were going to do good, and
Sadly.
they didn't. The Browns were way overhyped because their coaching is terrible.
Yeah.
All right. You know what, Trent? You go first this time. Who's going to be your second seed in that?
All right. The second seed in the AFC North for me is going to be 11-5, and it's going to be the Cincinnati Bengals.
Okay.
I, unlike you, do believe in Joe Burrow with his two somewhat elite receivers, and Joe Mixon will be on the good side of 50. Of the 50-50, obviously, not like age. Anywho. Defense, a little bit struggle, but I believe their offense will, really boost them up there. Boost up their defense's confidence and just really get them out there.
All right. Cool. At my third seed second place finisher in the NFC North, I have the Baltimore Ravens at 9-7. I think that the Ravens will have a plenty good start because they have a really easy schedule. Week 4, Washington. Hold on, I have right here. Week 2 at Houston. Last year I would have said that would have been a hard game, but Bill O'Brien, not a good combination.
Yeah.
I think they'll have a good start, but with some of the defenses that they're playing later on, I think he might get smashed and he'll lose all his confidence.
Yeah.
And
He won't want to run anymore.
No, I don't think he'll want to run. And he's not the best thrower, as you can see.
He is very solid passing. You can't get him wrong there, but then again,
he's not
he
compared
does have some flaws.
Compared to other guys, he's not the best.
Yeah.
But I think he'll lose all his confidence. Now they do have a pretty good backup in Robert Griffin, but I just don't think Robert Griffin could hold them to the Lamar Jackson standard that Lamar Jackson was at last year. I think they have a good run game in Mark Ingram. They have a good pass game in their tight end, and they have a really good defense.
Lamar loves to go to his tight ends, it seems.
Yeah.
Mark Andrews and Nick Boyle. Is
Yes.
Nick Boyle still on the team?
I think it's Hayden.
I believe
Hurst.
he is.
I think it's Hayden.
Mark Andrews and Nick Boyle.
Hold on. Let me see.
Yeah, can't check that out.
But
No. Okay.
tight ends. Tight ends are Mark Andrews, Nick Boyle.
Okay, yeah.
Yep. So,
So he does like to go to them a lot. They are pretty good. Mark Andrews, especially.
yeah.
Nick Boyle's
But
there.
after a while, you'd have to think that the other teams would know that.
Yeah.
And they'd start picking up on that and start covering the tight ends.
Mm-hmm.
All right, good. First seed. Or first place in the AFC North for me at 13-3, the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think that Ben Roethlisberger will come back, and I think he'll have a great season. I think, if anything, this is the season to win the Super Bowl for the Steelers. I think Ben Roethlisberger has it. You've seen those videos of him passing. They say he has a better zip than he had before his injury. He has solid wide receivers. With Deontay Johnson had a breakout year last year. James Washington had a breakout year. Juju Smith-Schuster.
A big thing. Sorry to interrupt you, but a big thing with the Steelers is James Conner is a beast, but can he stay healthy?
That's the thing, is they need to just keep Connor healthy for a good running back. But I also think Benny Snell is a solid running back too.
Mm-hmm.
But James Conner is
Power
like a superstar. It's just he's injury prone. Also, Steelers have a very good defense. Very solid defense, shutdown defense.
We should mention that the reason we know a lot about the Steelers is because we are Steelers fans.
Yes, we are Steelers
Obviously.
fans, so there may be a little bit of bias.
Maybe a little bit, but they got a solid team.
Still, I think they're a good.
And they have a pretty easy schedule.
Yeah,
as well.
The last 8 weeks are ranked the easiest 8 weeks in the entire league.
Yes.
So Trent, you should also tell them who your first seed is.
My first seed is obviously the Steelers. Yeah. 12-4 record, not as high as the 13-3, only a win away though. I got the Steelers because, well, they got an easy schedule. They got Ben back. As long as Connor stays healthy, Juju's there, Washington's there. He had a breakout year, and even if Ben's injured, we got Duck or Rudolph. I don't care. For
I'd
Rudolph,
say,
but we got Duck.
I just wish that they'd sign. I think the Steelers need to sign a veteran quarterback.
I agree.
Cam
Joe Flacco
Newton.
or
Cam
Newton.
He's
Cam Newton should sign with a team, definitely.
He does need to. Cam Newton. I would even take Joe Flacco just because of his experience.
Yeah.
Someone like that. Maybe someone who's like an older guy.
Just to get him in there just in case.
I wish they would have signed Andy Dalton, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, but the Cowboys ended up picking him up.
Yep. Well, I figured that's where he would go because Dallas is his hometown, and
yeah.
Dak
better watch himself.
Yeah, if Dak didn't sign the franchise tag, then they would have still had like a veteran starter.
Yeah.
Okay. AFC what? South?
South. Yes.
South. You go first.
Alright, in last place in the AFC South for me is the Jacksonville Jaguars with a 2-14 record. I just feel Gardner Minshew won't be able to get the job done. He doesn't have very many good receivers. I guess they have DJ Chark, but he's still young, still learning, and their defense is like non-existent. I believe 2-14 is a good, solid prediction for them. All right. What you got?
I also, at last place, have the Jaguars, but I do not have them at 2-14. I have them at 5-11.
Okay.
I think Gardner Minshew can be like a solid, Tyrod Taylor back in his prime was a solid quarterback for the Bills.
Agreed.
I think he could turn in, not a running quarterback obviously, but like a solid quarterback that can lead him to like maybe a 10-6, but just not this year. With what he's facing in his division, what his schedule is, I just don't have that much faith in that area for them. Offense good. They have DJ Chark, like you said. He's still learning, but he's still solid. D.D. Westbrook is pretty good too.
Yeah.
They have a very good running back, a superstar running back, in Leonard Fournette.
He was slowing down a little bit recently, but I think he'll kick it back up.
He was slowing down recently, but I mean, fantasy football. I like Leonard Fournette in fantasy football.
Rafe, we both lost fantasy football, so
I mean, Leonard Fournette was my best player, though.
yeah.
He scored me like 40 points one week, so that was cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we are in a fantasy football league together.
Yes, we will probably talk fantasy football later
Yeah,
in later episodes.
with us and a couple of our buddies.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
How bad we're doing.
Yeah, but yeah, I got third last year. You got second.
Alright. We'll go third for the AFC South. Would you like to go first?
Okay, I would be happy to go first.
Okay.
Third for the AFC South, for me, at 8-8, is the Houston Texans. Houston Texans, if they wouldn't have made so many dumb moves in the offseason, I would have said like 12-4 or 11-5. But, you know, good old Bill O'Brien.
Billy.
He just I don't their defense, they don't have a good defense. Their one superstar wide receiver was DeAndre Hopkins. The rest were like okay. Like Kenny Stills is solid, Will Fuller's solid. Mm-hmm. But I just don't have I think they can have a couple good weeks, but I just don't think they'll have like those fantastic numbers that DeAndre Hopkins put up. Mm-hmm. Their running back, Lamar Miller, he was a good running back, but last year, obviously, he tore his ACL and was out the whole season, and they probably won't get him back. But now they have David Johnson, who's still a good running back, but he's getting older, and he's really slowing down lately. And he's injury-prone, too. David Johnson is injury-prone. Mm-hmm. And they don't have a very good defense either. Jadeveon Clowney was good, but then he requested a trade. Did he request a trade or?
No, I think he got released.
Yeah,
where did he end up going?
I think Seattle, actually.
Really?
Yep. Here, let me check.
I don't know if he signed with anybody yet.
I think he did. No, I think last year he went to.
Maybe it was the Titans.
Hold on. Here, you explain yours, and I'll tell you.
Alright. For third, for me, 8-8 as well, but it's actually the Colts. I have the Colts going 8-8 because Phillip Rivers, I think he's going to be sort of washed up. Eight wins, though, is pretty solid for him. I think are they going to have T.Y. Hilton back? He should be back, right?
Yeah.
Did he leave? Am I just going insane?
Nope.
No, I thought he got injured for a little bit.
Nope.
Anywho, they'll have T.Y. Hilton. They do running back. They'll have
Marlon Mack.
Marlon Mack. That's right.
Marlon
Marlon Mack's pretty good. He's not elite, but he's decent. Decent. And I think 8-8 is just a good record for them. Yeah.
Yep.
So what about the Jadeveon Clowney?
Seattle Seahawks, right here. Jadeveon Clowney is a defensive end for the Seattle Seahawks.
Right.
Yep.
Wow, so that's really going to make the Seahawks powerful.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So for me, the number 2 seed at 10-6.
Three. No, number 3.
No,
no, wait.
Number 2, second place.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought I went first. I apologize.
At 10-6 is the Indianapolis Colts.
Okay.
I think only 2 wins above yours. I think they'll get 2 more wins than what you said. But I do believe in the Colts. I think Phillip Rivers will have a solid year, but I think after this year, he'll retire. He only signed a 1-year deal, so I think this is Phillip Rivers' last year, and he'll try to go for it as his last year, just to try to make a solid last year. Obviously last year he had a down year, but I think this year he'll pick it up again, and I think
this probably will be his last season. Yep. Sadly.
Yeah, sadly, with quote unquote sadly.
Yeah, not 100%, but
yeah. He has T.Y. Hilton. He has Marlon Mack. He has Jack Doyle.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, he lost Eric Ebron to the Steelers. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm happy about that they lost Eric Ebron to the Steelers, but
Hopefully he's a beast.
he was a very good tight end with Andrew Luck.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, I mean, they don't have the best of defense. They have an okay defense. It's not like terrible like some of these teams are,
Yeah.
but it's not like the best like lockdown defense that you can count on in tough situations.
Yep.
All right.
All right. Second for me, I have the Tennessee Titans 8-8. I have them second 8-8 because I think Tannehill won't have the same season he had last season, but he will have a pretty solid season, and he will definitely. Heck, why am I even talking about Ryan Tannehill? Let's be honest, it's just Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, power back, trucks everybody into the end zone. Tannehill makes some nice passes when he's needed, but Derrick Henry is definitely the bulk of that offense. Their defense is lacking a little bit, but it'll pick up with, I believe they still have Kevin Byard and company.
Malcolm
So
Butler.
yeah, I have them second on the AFC South.
All right. So, first for me at 11-5 is the Tennessee Titans.
Mm-hmm.
I think Tannehill will have an okay year. He has the weapons he needs. He has wide receivers like Corey Davis, A.J. Brown, who aren't like the best, but they're young receivers who can develop. Obviously, they have Derrick Henry, who's the run of the offense. But also, if Derrick Henry ever gets injured, they have a solid backup in Senorise Perry. Now, defense, they do have weapons, but it's not the best. They have people like Vic Beasley. Where is it? Malcolm Butler, Adoree Jackson, Kevin Byard, people like that. But the rest of like people like I don't know, like David Long, or like people that some of their starters are people that you've heard of.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you want to have a good defense, you have to have people that you can
Make a name for yourself.
Yep. All right, you go.
All right. Now looking at this, probably a little high, but at first place I have the Texans 11-5. I didn't take into consideration about DeAndre Hopkins. I don't know why, but why not? Let's put all of our chips in on Deshaun Watson. Still a beast, still mobile. Probably going to get injured. I'm going to regret this, but anywho, they have Kenny Stills and
Randall Cobb,
yeah.
Kenny Stills.
I don't want to just AFC East. You can go. Just,
Brandon
okay,
Cooks.
I'm done
I
explaining.
forgot. Brandon Cooks is now on the Texans.
Was he was on there last season too, wasn't he?
Nope, he was on the Rams last season. Brandon Cooks, I forgot that he went. That's a good signing. So maybe I have him a little too low, but it's okay. AFC East, you said?
Yes.
All right. Last
We
place.
gotta start picking this up. We're really into this already.
Yeah. Last place for the AFC East and the whole entire league at 0-16, the Jets.
So you think they're gonna join the elite crew with
The Browns and
and
Lions.
Lions?
Yep. I just don't think they have it. Like, Sam Darnold,
Their schedule is pretty tough. Too.
they do have a tough schedule. Sam Darnold, he's okay.
At best.
Yeah, below average, definitely. He could have a good year, but I don't think the wide receivers, like, Jameson Crowder's their only good wide receiver. Josh Doxson's okay, but I just don't think they'll do good. Joe Flacco as the backup, like I could see him coming in halfway through the season and still doing terrible because I don't think Joe Flacco's that good.
Wait, the Jets actually ended up picking up Joe Flacco?
Yep, Joe Flacco ended up on the Jets.
That is news to me.
Their only good player on offense is Le'Veon Bell. You know, there's Frank Gore, who's had a very good past, but he's not. Obviously, they're going to start Bell over, and if Bell ever gets hurt and they bring him out, he's going to be rusty because he hasn't played the whole entire season. Defense, we might as well not even cover.
Don't just.
Jamal Adams just requested a trade. Who is their best player on defense and like their only player on defense. The only one.
Imagine if he gets traded to the Seahawks.
Oh, that would be crazy. I don't think
that was one of the places he might land out.
Yeah. Pierre Desir is their only other. C.J. Mosley's okay. Pierre Desir's all right.
Still pretty old, C.J. Mosley.
Yeah. And really, that's like the three okay, decent players. Jamal Adams was a beast, but obviously now that he's probably going to be traded, like they're not going to have a defense.
Gotcha.
All right, so your turn, Trent.
All right, so last place in the AFC East for me, I have the Patriots at 2-14 with Jarrett Stidham, and I guess they have a defense. They have Stephon Gilmore, and that's all they really have for defense. Let's be honest. Offense, they have Jarrett Stidham. They have Julian Edelman. He's pretty all right. Running back Sony Michel. He's good, I guess you could say. And I feel they're overall just not that great of a team this season.
Yeah. All right. Third place at 4-12 for me is also the New England Patriots. Not also, but the New England Patriots.
Yeah.
Brian Hoyer as their starter. Jarrett Stidham coming in as...
Wait, I thought they were starting Jarrett Stidham.
I don't know. Last I heard, Brian Hoyer was their starter, but they might have changed it.
Either way, it's still...
Yeah.
Yeesh.
They have good running backs between James White, Rex Burkhead, and Sony Michel. But if you go power heavy on run, people are going to go power heavy on blitzing.
Yeah.
They have Julian Edelman, but they don't have... The problem is they have a couple good receivers, but they don't have anyone on... they don't have a quarterback to throw it to them.
Who's that other receiver? I don't know why I can't think of his name right now.
Julian Edelman, N'Keal Harry, Marquise Lee, Mohamed Sanu.
Oh, maybe he's not even on the team anymore.
Yeah, but
maybe never mind.
They don't have a tight end whatsoever. Defense they have good. Meh. But
Meh.
Donta
Gilmore, I guess.
Hightower can have a solid year. Stephon Gilmore, obviously, that we don't even need to talk about him. Jason McCourty, he's good. Patrick Chung is also pretty good. Devin McCourty is also good, but if you can't score points and you're giving up a bunch of interceptions, then obviously at some point the other team's going to score when you're not going to be able to score. So I just don't think the Patriots will have it this year. Who's your third place team in the AFC East?
My third place team is the New York Jets. I have them at 2-14. I was a little bit generous to them, and you weren't. With an 0-16 record. The Jets, Sam Darnold, not that great. Jamal Adams once again requesting a trade. It's just not looking good for them this season. Tough schedule. Yeah. Grace basically said it all with the 0-16 he had for them.
Yeah. All right.
And to be fair, I would like to announce that Rafe has a list of players he is looking at. He doesn't just know more than me, okay?
I actually do know most of the players I'm naming.
Well, yeah, but I know them too, but I can't think of them off the top of my head.
Well, get a computer.
Yeah, okay.
um,
Alright, your second place team. Correct?
Second place for me at 8-8 is the Miami Dolphins.
Okay.
I think they do have Tua Tagovailoa. I actually have, I actually have more confidence in Tua than I do in Burrow, because if it wasn't for Tua's injured, then Tua would obviously be going to the Bengals right now.
But then again, the Tigers, LSU Tigers, did beat the Crimson Tide, like, before he got injured. So that could have persuaded things a different way.
I mean, I do.
Still, yeah, he could have gone first. It would have given him a better chance.
Tua, but I also think that what the Dolphins have is Tua doesn't do good. They have Ryan Fitzpatrick
True.
or Fitzmagic.
Yeah.
Fitzpatrick, and also they have if all goes wrong, they have Josh Rosen, who's also had some experience. Obviously, the Cardinals, he did terrible, but he has experience. They even have another quarterback with experience, Jake Ruddock. They have a couple solid running backs like Matt Breida, Jordan Howard signed with them. That was a good pickup for them. They could get him cheap. Wide receivers, they got good wide receivers like Devontae Parker. Yeah. Allen Hurns is a solid one when he's healthy, at least.
Yeah.
Defense, Shaq Lawson is good. They spent a lot on defense. They just got Byron Jones, one of the Cowboys' best cornerbacks. They gave him a big contract. Byron Jones is a good good cornerback. Kyle Van Noy, they gave him a good contract because he's good. Kamu Grugier-Hill. Like, these are good players, so they have a solid defense. I'm happy with my decision. Go.
Okay. Second for the AFC East for me is also the Dolphins, but they have a 7-9 record. I believe in Tua too. The only thing is he going to be injury prone? Because, he's coming out of college with an injury. He'll be set to play week 1. I don't know if they're going to start Fitzpatrick or Tua. Debatable. And also, like you said, solid defense. And they have nice receivers in Devontae Parker and Allen Hurns. But, I don't know, 7-9 just seems like a good fit for them.
All right. First place team for me in the AFC East shouldn't be a shock. The New Patriots, except they're only 10-6 for me, is the Buffalo Bills. I'm gonna let Trent do the talking on this one because I'm not gonna talk about as much because I'm gonna let Trent cover this and he'll probably explain it and I'll just point out stuff.
Alright, so I also have the Bills first in the AFC East at 13-3. I chose them there because Josh Allen, he made some rookie mistakes last season in the playoffs and in the regular season, but I think he'll get those kinks worked out and just really start to show how solid he is. At receivers, they have Cole Beasley, who just changed his number recently from, I believe, 10 to 11 or 11 to 10, something like that. That's irrelevant, but they also have a defense, Tre'Davious White back there. Brother
Tremaine Edmonds.
Yeah. No, we don't need to talk about that. Anywho.
Also, they have really good wide receivers with Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley.
Yeah, they did just pick up Stephon Diggs. That is correct.
John Brown, Robert Foster, Ray McLeod. They have tons of people. Running backs, they have good running backs. Devin Singletary, T.J. Yeldon has experience. Christian Wade.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
All right, cool.
AFC
So
West.
moving on to the AFC West.
So, last place for me.
This is the first one we're really gonna have to like start talking about.
Okay.
Just because I know who you have in first. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, this is the one we might disagree a little bit.
Yeah.
This is So far we haven't disagreed yet, but starting
Yeah,
from now
ours
on.
have been pretty equal, except with like the Texans, because I was probably wrong on that one.
Yeah,
let's be
but
honest.
it's okay. Like they haven't been too big of things, but like
This is probably the most difference
well.
to begin with.
In NFC, in NFC, we
in
have
AFC.
very different opinions. Like all our things are switched around, except the NFC
Yes.
West. NFC West is like straightforward.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Yeah, NFC gets very crooked.
yeah, in last place, I have at 6-10 the Los Angeles Chargers. I like Tyrod Taylor. He's getting old. He's not really a rushing quarterback anymore. He's just turned 30 this year. He's going to be their backup quarterback to Justin Herbert, who just got drafted in the top 10, I think.
He got top 10. I think he got drafted 6th overall.
Yeah, Justin Herbert was their first round draft pick. That's all that should be said.
Yeah.
But Justin Herbert, like Joe Burrow and Tua, is going to have to take a year to get ready. Like even last year with Kyler Murray, like he took a year to get ready. They went what, like 6-10 or 7-9 or something like that.
Yeah, I don't. Something like that.
Something like that. It takes a year. It just takes a year to get ready because NFL is a lot different than college. Running back, they have a solid running back with Austin Eckler, but they did lose Melvin Gordon to the Broncos, which was a weird place to go. It was just weird that the Broncos signed Melvin Gordon when they had a good running back, a solid running back with Phillip Lindsay.
Yeah.
Obviously, Keenan Allen, one of the best in the league, but Keenan Allen can't do anything if he can't get past him.
Can't get the ball, yeah.
Yeah. Mike Williams is good. Hunter Henry, one of the best tight ends in the league. All-star, very, very good offensive line with like Mike Pouncey and stuff like that. Defense, they have Joey Bosa, Nick Vigil. Those are weapons. They just picked up Chris Harris Jr. and they with an already elite Casey Hayward and Desmond King, so they have a good defense. They have a pretty solid defense, especially their cornerbacks. Their top 3 are all like elite quarterbacks. All right, go ahead.
All right, 4th place for me. I have the Denver Broncos 4-12. I have them there because I don't have that much confidence in Drew Lock, and they do have Melvin Gordon, as you just said, did he get traded or just signed there?
I think signed.
Okay. Yeah, anyway, they got Melvin Gordon. Also Phillip Lindsay, good two running back combo. But they have Cortland Sutton, who, good weapon for Drew Lock that he's going to overthrow or underthrow. Defense, they got Von Miller, getting up there in age, sadly. Still a beast, though. Could lead them to that 4 wins. Give me help on defense here. Who the Broncos got on defense?
Von Miller.
Huh?
I said Von Miller.
Yeah, so defense for the Broncos, Von Miller. Receivers, okay, that's
Von Miller.
basically it.
Von Miller. That's like their whole. They went from an elite defense to not a very good. AJ Bouye.
They did pick up AJ Bouye.
That was a good
Did they
move.
trade for him?
They also have Jarrell Casey.
I think they might trade it for him, but that's besides the fact they got him. They got AJ Bouye, Jarrell Casey. Yeah.
They do have
Somewhat decent defense. I still think they're going to have a pretty under average season at 4-12.
All right, you go first this time.
All right. Third place in the AFC West, I got the Oakland Raiders.
At what?
At 5-11, and I have them there because they're the Oakland Raiders. Derek Carr, I think he'll show up a little bit, but then again, you need bless you.
Thank you.
You need some weapons to be a quarterback, and that's just not there for him. And at running back, they have Josh Jacobs, who's probably one of the best on the offense. I just don't see it going well for their offense. And their defensive side of the ball, who they got on defense? Help me out.
They got. Excuse me.
Anybody good?
Corey
Why not?
Littleton. Corey Littleton.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
So they don't have
Lamarcus
a
Joyner.
defense.
Lamarcus Joyner.
Lamarcus Joyner, probably the best on their defense. Yeah, I think another bad season would fit them good. 5-11 just sounds good for me. All right, who's your third place?
Third place for me is also the Oakland Raiders, but they're at 7-9. Derek Carr, obviously, I don't think he's that good. I do think at some point they will bring in Marcus Mariota. I think
True.
Marcus Mariota will have a solid, and if all else fails, they got Nathan Peterman.
The best in the league, baby.
Oh man, I had such high hopes for Nathan Peterman.
Wouldn't it be awesome if Mariota had a Ryan Tannehill situation?
Oh, that would be so cool. But if all else fails, there's Nathan Peterman, which I was so happy because we're also Pitt college fans. We're not Penn State boys. We're Pitt boys.
No.
So Nathan Peterman, we had such high hopes for, and well, now he's a third stringer for the Oakland Raiders, who already have terrible quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Running back, they have Josh Jacobs, obviously very good, elite, will hopefully turn into something good.
Hopefully
He's
traded
young.
for his sake.
He could pull an Antonio Brown.
Sure.
Where he gets really good, and then he's like, "Oh, I like money, and I like getting arrested."
Yeah.
For wide receivers, they did pick up Nelson Aguilar, solid pickup. Zay Jones, they still have. Tyrell Williams, he's good. Tyrell Williams, he's really good. The tight end, they have Darren Waller, who was, I believe, the second or third best in the league last year, besides Travis Kelce and George Kittle. And they also have Jason Witten, who...
I did forget about Darren Waller and Jason Witten.
Jason Witten, I'm not even sure why he's still in the league.
Yeah, he's pretty old.
He's 38. He's been in the league for 17 years.
You'd think, when he came back, you'd think he'd just stay with the Cowboys.
Yeah.
It was kind of shocking when he went to the Raiders.
Yeah, I was a little surprised. You know what I say to him? I say just retire.
If you're resorting on the Raiders as your last option, just leave.
Yeah, really. All right, you go.
All right, second place for me, I have the Chargers at 8-8. I have a little bit of hope for Justin Herbert and the crew. Maybe if he doesn't do too good, I think Tyrod Taylor could come in and do something. I don't know. 8-8. Just what's that?
I said Justin Herbert.
Yes. Yeah, I think if Justin Herbert doesn't do too good, they could put in Tyrod Taylor and he'd do decent. 8-8 sounds good. For defense, they have... Help me out. They have...
For the Chargers.
Chargers.
The Chargers. They have Chris Harris, Casey Hayward, Desmond
Chris Harris
King,
Jr.
Joey Bosa.
Joey Bosa. Duh. Joey Bosa.
Who is now being overshadowed by his little brother Nick Bosa.
Yeah. They do have a solid defense. Receivers, Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen's a beast. good weapon for Herbert or Tyrod Taylor, whichever
Herbert,
one
Hoover.
actually ends up
Herbert.
finishing.
I don't know why I
Ah,
said
la, la, la,
that.
la, la.
That's a prison.
Herbert.
Herbert.
Yeah, that's all I really gotta say for them. I guess Mike Williams. Mike Williams is a good
Justin
weapon
Herbert.
if you need him. All right, we get it.
All right. Second place for me is the Kansas City Chiefs. This is where it starts getting
This is where we
tilted. Tilted
This is
towers.
where
All right, let's
things
continue.
start going wrong.
Kansas City Chiefs. I do have them tied in record with the first seed at 10-6.
Well, we know who your first seed is, so you could just say it.
The Broncos, the Denver Broncos, but we're not focusing on them right now.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute.
Yep, the Kansas City Chiefs at 10-6. They have a pretty tough schedule. I do have them winning one to the Broncos and losing one to the Broncos. Because obviously there's a rivalry there. So obviously, even if they're facing like I don't know the Raiders, it's obviously gonna be a good game because it's a division match. Division matches are always good.
Yes, this is true.
They have Pat Mahomes. He's good. Running back is a weak point. They don't have very good running backs. Damian Williams is all right, but he's not like a Josh Jacobs or a Austin Eckler or a Philip Lindsay or something like that.
Decent.
Yeah. Wide receiver, they have Tyreek Hill and Sammy Watkins, and that's about it.
Yeah.
So
I mean, Demarcus Robin, or is it, Demarcus Robin or Robinson? Whatever his
DeMarcus
name
Robinson.
is. He stepped up a lot last year.
He did, but
Travis Kelce.
that I was getting to tight end. Travis
I
Kelce,
apologize.
he's getting older. He's 30 now, so he's obviously going to slow down a lot. Ricky Seals-Jones. They have Ricky Seals-Jones, tight end, 25. He's been on, like 3 teams in a couple of years?
Yeah.
So that explains itself. Good offensive line. On defense, they have Taco Charlton.
What a name.
I know. I like Taco Charlton's good. They have a good. Wait, hold on. They have a good safety in Tyrann Mathieu.
Yeah, Honey Badger.
Yeah, they don't have very good quarterbacks either. Linebackers, they just don't have the best defense ever. They only have 2, like I said, Taco Charlton and Tyrann Mathieu, and that's about it. All right. I'll go since I already named my first place team. First place team is the Denver Broncos, also at 10-6.
Whew.
I have good faith in Drew Lock. Drew Lock. They also have Jeff Driscoll as a backup who has experience. Excuse me. Running back, they have Melvin Gordon and Philip Lindsay. Both really good running backs. And they also have Royce Freeman, who is a young guy. He's only 24, and he's had some solid years with the Broncos. Wide receivers, they have Trinity Benson, Cortland Sutton, who are 2 good wide receivers. The tight end, they have Jake from State Farm and Noah Fant, who's really good. He's really young. Both quarterback or tight ends are really young. Defense, they have Von Miller, Bradley Chubb, AJ Bouye, Bryce Callahan, PJ Locke, who are all solid guys. So they do have a okay defense. It's not the best in the world, but it's not the worst in the world. Your turn.
Alright, so for my first place in the AFC West, I have the Kansas City Chiefs going 14-2. I have them so high because I think I have high hopes for Mahomes. Damian Williams, once again, a decent running back. Fits their scheme perfect with the pass first West Coast sort of sort of scheme, I should say. Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins, Demarcus Robinson, all solid wide receivers for him. Defense, Tyrann Mathieu, Paco. Yeah, pretty much what Rafe said, but I think they will get a few more wins than what he said.
All right. Going into the NFC North.
This is where things get really fun.
All right. NFC North is probably the one we disagreed on the most.
Yes.
Why don't you go first on this one?
All right. Last place for me, I have the Minnesota Vikings going 6-10. I have them so low because Kirk Cousins just by no means elite. He's decent at best. Dalvin Cook is a good running back. For receivers,
I think
they
Dalvin
just
Cook
got rid of Stephon Diggs. They have Adam Thielen. That's really the best they have, to be honest. Tight ends, honestly couldn't name one. Defense, they have... Who do they got on defense? Give me some help.
Hold on. Let me scroll.
I feel like they gotta have at least one good player on defense.
I think every team has at least one player you can name. Danielle Hunter.
Danielle Hunter, yeah.
Anthony Barr.
Defense. Anthony Barr.
Harrison Smith.
Harrison Smith is a...
Yeah.
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 Those are all people I could have thought if I had an hour to think.
If you had an hour to
Just
think.
don't have high hopes for the Vikings. They have a solid team. I don't know. Don't think they're going to do too much with it.
All right. Fourth place for me at 7-9 is the Detroit Lions. Matthew Stafford, he's getting up there in age, injured last year. I'm not sure how well he will do. They do have David Blau, but I'm not sure how good he'll do. Kerryon Johnson, good running back, not the best of running backs.
Mm-hmm.
For wide receiver, they got Geronimo Allison, Danny Amendola, Kenny Galladay, who's probably their best receiver, and Marvin Jones Jr. That's their top four, most likely. But even then, they're not that. Like, Kenny Galladay is obviously really good. Marvin Jones Jr. is pretty good. Danny Amendola and Geronimo Allison are not very good at all. Mm-hmm. For tight end, they have Jesse James.
Sadly, he is gone.
Yeah.
He wasn't that good, though.
I wish he was back on the Steelers, but it's okay.
It's okay.
Jesse James, really tall. He's 6'7". So that should be something that Matthew Stafford can at least hit. T.J. Hawkinson, he's good. Only 6'5", so maybe a little too short for Matthew Stafford. Defense, Trey Flowers.
Is that all you gotta say about their defense?
Desmond Trufant.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about it. Self-explanatory, really.
Mm-hmm.
It should be, at least.
Mm-hmm.
All right, for third place for me in the NFC North is actually the Green Bay Packers.
Packers.
The Green Bay Packers.
One win away from the Super Bowl. Why do you have them so low?
What?
One win away from the Super Bowl last year. Why do you have them so
All right,
low?
you want to read their record for you, too? They're 8-8 for me.
They're 10-6 for me.
Oh, okay. They're fine. Fine. All right. I mean, Aaron Rodgers getting up there in age.
True.
Aaron
And
Jones is a
also,
solid.
with the Jordan Love pick, he might not be very happy.
Yeah, that also might be an effect. Aaron Jones is a really good running back. Devontae Adams was last year going to be the best wide receiver in the game, but obviously you saw how that turned out. He did not very good. Devin Funchess, they did pick up Devin Funchess, who was a good wide receiver. Not sure about now. They don't have good tight ends. They have an okay defensive or offensive line, not the best. On defense, they have Preston Smith, Zadarius Smith, Jair Alexander for cornerback. He's a good quarterback. Cornerback. Adrian Amos at a safety. He's good. But, they don't have that good of a defense. Yeah, really. They do have one of the best kickers in the league, though. You know, my boy, Mason Crosby.
Yes. Heath.
Your turn.
Alright. Third place for me, I got the Chicago Bears, 9-7. I believe Trubisky is going to be their starter for the beginning, and then whenever they realize he should get out, they'll put in Nick Foles, and Nick Foles will start going on a good run and bring them up to 9-7. For receivers, they got Allen Robinson, who is pretty solid, good weapon. Not too much other in the receiver core. For running back, they have Tariq Cohen and...
David Montgomery.
Huh?
David Montgomery.
David Montgomery, that is who I was trying to think of. Thank you. Decent running back duo. Not too great. For defense, they have Khalil Mack, who didn't do anything last season. He did good, great, amazing 2 seasons ago. But last season just didn't show anything.
They got
Also
Erdy
for
Burns.
defense, they got... What's that?
They got Erdy Burns.
Oh, garbage.
The worst first round draft pick of Steelers history.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, that was just a waste of a pick.
That was just rough.
All right, for second place at 10-6, for me is the Chicago Bears. Also, they have Nick Foles, Mitch Trubisky. Oh, by the way, if you want to know how far to stay away from people, imagine you're the ball and the other person's the receiver. So stay at least 6 feet away from them.
Yeah.
Whether it be short
with
of them
Trubisky.
or long of them, it doesn't matter.
Yes.
Or side of them, really.
Yeah.
But Nick Foles, I think he'll go on a run after they go 0-4 at the beginning with Mr. Trubisky.
Mm-hmm.
David Montgomery, Tariq Cohen. Tariq Cohen's good. David Montgomery's still getting used to the NFL. He could turn into a star. And when you said Allen Robinson was their only wide receiver, you're wrong. They do have Ted Ginn Jr. now.
Yes.
Ted Ginn Jr. Who else was I going to name? Cordero Patterson.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
decent.
But he's still, that's
Average.
a 3. That's a solid 3. Tight end, they have a lot. They have 1,
they have 7 tight
2,
ends.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 tight ends. One of them includes Jimmy Graham, who has a good past. And also they have Adam Shaheen, who went to my brother's college.
Ooh.
And knows my brother. Defense,
Exactly.
they have Akeem Hicks and Khalil Mack, who can still be good. It's just maybe he had an off year last year. Kyle Fuller, Eddie Jackson, people like that.
See, I would have known these players if I would have seen them, like Eddie Jackson.
Yeah, Akeem Hicks.
Yeah.
Yeah, people like
Akeem
that.
Hicks, yeah.
Yeah, that means next time you have to be prepared.
Well, I could go up, but let's actually do that.
All right. Well, Trent, on your way up, why don't you tell them about your
Number 2?
Yeah, number 2.
Number 2 for me is going to be 10-6 Packers. I mentioned that already, that they're 10-6. I have them this high because Aaron Rodgers and
Aaron Jones.
let's look up the players. They got Aaron Jones in the backfield. Devin Funchess, wide receiver.
Devontae Adams.
They just drafted A.J. Dillon, running back. Not sure how that would do with Aaron Jones. They have Alan Lazard for another wide receiver. For defense, they have Jair Alexander at cornerback. Rashawn Gary. Mercedes Lewis is tight end. I don't know why I just randomly went to offense again. But Adrian Amos, defense. So they have a pretty solid defense, decent offense. I think they will be able to get the job done to go 10-6.
Okay, for me, at first seed in the NFC North, I want to go first because, oh boy, is his shocking. First seed for me at 13-3 is the Minnesota Vikings, the actual realistic pick. They went
Yeah, but is that realistic?
10-6 last year. I could see them getting that 3 more wins. Kirk Cousins,
True.
I think, is the most underrated quarterback in the league.
He did start to get on fire last season at the end.
Amir Abdullah is a good backup. Dalvin Cook, obviously, is one of the best in the game. C.J. Ham, that's one of the few fullbacks that I can name offhand. He's really that good. Adam Thielen, Tajay Sharp, people like that on defense or offense. Kyle Rudolph can still have a good year. For defense, they have people like Danielle Hunter, Jaleel Johnson, Anthony Barr, people like that. So they have solid. Harrison Smith, solid defense. I could actually see them going 13-3. Why don't you tell them yours?
My first place in the NFC North is the Detroit Lions. Now, hear me out. I think with Kenny Golladay and Matt Stafford,
Oh my goodness.
I think they will really just shine. Defense, they just picked up Jeff Okuda in the draft. Who else? They have. They just got rid of Darius Slay, sadly. But Kerryon Johnson, running back, decent, pretty good.
Oh my goodness.
Let me look. Let me look at who else they got.
Literally, my last seed is your first seed, and my first seed is your last seed.
Yeah. They got Danny Amendola. I think they just picked up DeAndre Swift. I could be mistaken. But yeah,
Let's move on before you make a
really
beer full of yourself, Trent.
Why?
Welcome back, everybody. Sorry for that jump cut. It was getting late, and I like to sleep, so I decided that I wanted to go to bed. And
Sleep's pretty nice.
Yeah, and it's now the next day, so we're going to start with the NFC South. Trent, you go first.
Alright, last place for the NFC South, I got 5-11. It's the Falcons. They have Matt Ryan at quarterback. They also have Julio Jones. Julio Jones would be a good weapon for Matt Ryan, but their offensive line just really can't cut it. Last season, he barely had any time to throw. Also in the backfield, they got Todd Gurley, a new addition. He could help them to those 5 wins. Defensive-wise, they nothing much. Like, they're 5-11 just fits them, in my opinion, pretty good.
All right. For my last place team, also at 5-11, probably a lot of people are going to hate me for this, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I just don't think. Obviously, everyone saw Tom Brady's year last year. He couldn't pass the ball to save his life. They don't have a running back. Their best running back is Ronald Jones II.
Yeah.
Which it won't do them anything. Wide receiver wise, they have two good weapons within Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. But if they can't get the ball, they're not going to do much. Tight end, you got O.J. Howard, who's a solid tight end, but again, not going to do much if he can't catch the ball. Rob Gronkowski, everyone thinks he's going to be this superstar, but after taking a year off football, I don't think
Tough.
it's going to be tough to make a return. Like, you see guys like Brett Favre, his first year back, he didn't do so well. And defense, they have not very good. They have people like Ndamukong Suh, who had a good pass, also one of the dirtiest players of all time, but we're not gonna mention that for his sake. But that's all their players that is good on defense.
Agreed.
Trent, you go ahead.
All right. Third place for me, 7-9 Buccaneers. Once again, probably a lot of haters, but Tom Brady, overthrow Brady, whatever. Receivers, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, solid targets, but they gotta get the ball in order to do something. Gronkowski, year off, gonna be a little rusty. O.J. Howard, pretty solid. Defense, Ndamukong Suh, just really not the greatest of teams. Some people think it's a super squad. Some people think it's garbage. I think they'll finish 7-9, a decent record. That's all I got to say about them.
All right.
Who's your second place?
Third place.
Third place.
Third place
Not bad.
team for me at 6-10 is the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons, you saw what they did last year. The Atlanta Falcons were horrible. One of the worst in the league. Don't have an offensive line. Todd Gurley, at least he had a slight offensive line with the Rams. But you know what? He went to the Falcons. Poor decision on his part. Matt Ryan isn't able to throw the ball. So guys like Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley, people like that aren't going to be able to get the ball because they won't be able to catch the ball if Matt Ryan can't throw the ball because he doesn't have time to throw the ball. Hayden Hurst, a tight end, a new addition, that was a good pickup for them. Unfortunately, they also need to pick up a quarterback. That would be nice. On defense, you have a couple guys that it could do well, like Dante Fowler Jr. or Keanu Neal, people like that. It's just that they don't have, if they're stopping at some point, the offense has to score, right? I know no one probably made sense of that because I worded that as worse as possible, the worst you could word that, but all right, let's just move on.
My turn?
Yep.
Alright. Second place for me, I have 9-7. It is the Panthers. I believe they will be this high
up because of Christian McCaffrey. I think Teddy Bridgewater will have a standout year. Even if he gets injured or doesn't play too good, they got P.J. Walker, XFL star, in the back. There's good quarterback duo if necessary. And for receivers, they have DJ Moore. They picked up Robbie Anderson this offseason. Curtis Samuel, that's a great trio. Tight end, Ian Thompson, nothing that special. Defensive-wise, they have Kawan Short, Shaq Thompson, Dante Jackson, some solid defensive players that I believe could get them up to those 9 wins and maybe make a push for the playoffs.
My second place team, also at 9-7, is the Carolina Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
I have the Carolina Panthers there because I think with Teddy Bridgewater, last year with the Saints they went 13-3. You'd think the 3 losses would come from their backup quarterback, but no. Teddy Bridgewater went 5-0.
5-0.
Yeah, and that's great. And who knows? Even if he doesn't do good, P.J. Walker could have a standout year, a breakout year. Like Trent covered, Christian McCaffrey, I could see him being the best running back in the league next year, even over people like.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I think they'd be really high, 11-5, maybe 12-4 if they didn't lose Luke Kuechly.
I agree with that.
Just a little tidbit.
Wide receiver, they got Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, and Curtis Samuel. Like Trent covered, that's a good trio. Tight end, they had one last year, Greg Olsen, who was really good in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he was getting older, slowing down, so I could see why they let him go. But they don't have as good as a tight end now. Especially their highest experienced tight end is 5, which is a lot, but it's not. Greg Olsen was 8 or 9 or something like that, or it may even been in double digits or something. Defense, they have people like Trent said, Kawan Short and Shaq Thompson. They picked up Eli Apple, which I think was a good pickup for them. Other than that, I think that this team could push for that 9 wins, maybe sneak in the 7th or even 6th seed. Go ahead.
Cool. So first place for me in the NFC South, I have the New Orleans Saints going 13-3. I have them going 13-3 because Drew Brees, very elite quarterback. Jameis Winston back there just in case. Alvin Kamara, very solid running back. Michael Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders was a good pickup this offseason. Taysom Hill, the Army Swiss knife. Really, Jared Cook, tight end. Very, very solid offense. And moving on to defense, they have Cameron Jordan, Marcus Davenport, Demario Davis, Malcolm Jenkins, Marshawn Lattimore. Just a really solid defense as well. I think 13-3 is very solid for them, and I think they could make a very good playoff run.
My first place team in the NFC South is also the Saints, but they're 11-5. Now they have a tougher schedule, so I could see them losing some of those games. As always, the Saints just have 3 good quarterbacks last year. It's just with the minus of Teddy Bridgewater, addition of Jameis Winston. Not saying he's the best. Obviously, you've seen his interception rate.
Yes.
He went 30 touchdowns, 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions. So he can throw touchdowns pretty good. It's just he has a problem seeing.
In passing yards, he was the best in the league, I believe.
Yeah, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But if Drew Brees does happen to go down, I could see Jameis Winston pulling a Teddy Bridgewater and going like 4-0 or 5-0 even.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Running back, they have Alvin Kamara, but they also have picked up T.Y. Montgomery and with their already Latavius Murray, so I could see him going kind of a Patriots, but not as much as the Patriots, where they could have like switch out the three running backs throughout the whole entire game. T.Y. Montgomery, he is decent catching, like passing running back. Wide receivers, they have Michael Thomas, which I think he will still be very good, but with the addition of Emmanuel Sanders, I think Emmanuel Sanders will get a lot of time too.
Mm-hmm.
Lil Jordan Humphrey could he's still young. He could develop into a decent player. Jared Cook, obviously he's a very like elite tight end. Defensive wise, they have people like Marshawn Lattimore, Malcolm Jenkins, DJ Swearinger. People that can really hold down the fort for them. Janoris Jenkins, too. Let's move on to the East.
Alright. NFC East, you want to go first?
Sure, why not? In last place for the NFC East, at 4-12, the Washington Redskins. Dwayne Haskins Jr., he had not a very good year last year. Dwayne Haskins Jr. could turn into someone, but I just don't think that he'll be able to get it done this year. Maybe next year. But if Dwayne Haskins doesn't go as planned, they also picked up Kyle Allen from the Carolina Panthers, who was an okay backup. Started off good, but ended up not doing too well. They also have Alex Smith, who no one knows.
Will he be playing?
What?
Will he be playing?
That is the question. Will Alex Smith be playing? He said he was going to play last year, but then his leg got worse or something.
Uh-huh.
But who knows? He said he wants to be back for at least 1 year before he retires.
Mm-hmm.
For running back, they have Darius Geis, a very solid running back. And they also have Peyton Barber and the ageless wonder, Adrian Peterson, who is now starting to age and get old.
Yeah, sadly.
Getting older, up there in age, slowing down a little bit, but he can still do some damage to the other team's defense. Wide receiver, do we really even have to cover wide receiver? They don't have very good wide receivers at all.
Terry McLaurin's, meh.
Nah.
At best.
Could develop into a decent wide receiver, but yeah.
Yeah, that's tough.
That's the
Real
rough
tough.
spot there. Tight end.
Jeremy Sprinkle.
Yeah. Not very promising, I should say.
Yeah.
Defensive wise, they have Ryan Kerrigan, still good. They have John Bostic, Steelers old linebacker, who was okay for the Steelers. He was okay. He was like a slightly below average linebacker for the Steelers. That's about it. Their biggest loss, losing both Josh Norman and HaHa Clinton Dix. No, HaHa Clinton Dix played for the Redskins years ago. I don't know why I said that. HaHa Clinton Dix played for the Bears last year.
Yeah.
But they lost Josh Norman. where did Josh Norman go again? I don't even remember.
I don't remember either.
But yeah. Why don't you go ahead and announce your last place team?
Josh Norman plays for the Bills.
The Bills. Oh my gosh, that just makes Bills even better.
Yes, it does. I'm telling you, man, 13-3.
Man.
Cool.
All right. Go ahead. Who's your last place team for the NFC East?
My last place team is also the Redskins, but I wasn't as generous and I went with a 1-15 record. Dwayne Haskins Jr. once again didn't have a very good season last year. Alex Smith, it really depends if he comes in or not, if they'll even do decent. Darius Geis, solid running back, we'll give him that. Adrian Peterson, getting washed up. Paul Barber, yeah. Wide receiver, Terry McLaurin, about it. Okay at best. Tight ends. Defense, they picked up Chase Young in the draft. That could be very solid for them. He could go either way. Landon Collins, solid, strong safety. Troy Apke, whatever. Solid free safety. 1-15, probably how they're going to end up going. Maybe a few more wins in there. Maybe I was being a little harsh, but 1-15 just seems right.
Okay. My third place team, also at 4-12, the New York Giants. I had them winning both games against the Redskins. That's why they're higher up. Daniel Jones could turn into a solid QB, but I just don't think it'll be his year. Saquon Barkley, first year had an amazing year. Second year, not as amazing, but still solid. Wide receiver, they got people like Sterling Shepard, Golden Tate, who also could turn into good wide receivers this year. And I could see the Giants getting a few more wins, maybe going 8-8 or something like that. Evan Engram, a solid tight end. But their offensive line is not the best. I shouldn't even say not the best. It's just not good. Defensive-wise, they have Leonard Williams, who was okay, decent. They have Julian Love, who is also a decent cornerback, but I still don't think he'll be that good. James Bradbury was a good pickup for them. James Bradbury was a good cornerback for the Carolina Panthers last year. And Jabril Peppers, obviously, he's a very good safety. But you never know. Go ahead, Trent.
Okay. So, third place for me is going to be the Eagles at 4-12. I have them pretty low, probably. Carson Wentz just had a standout first year, hasn't done nothing since. Every time he walks out onto the field, he gets injured. I'm surprised he even played 5 minutes in the playoffs last season. Is that what it was?
Something like that.
Yeah, anywho. He does have some pretty good targets in Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson, but Deshaun Jackson also kind of injury prone. And they also picked up Jalen Reagor in the draft, who, once again, it's the draft, could go either way. But I think he was a solid pickup for them. At tight end, they have Zach Ertz, who has been very good over the years. Might start digressing a little bit now, but I still think he could play pretty good. And Dallas Goedert right behind him, if anything happens. And Dallas Goedert played pretty solid last season. Haven't been talking much about the offensive line, but Jason Kelsey, pretty solid center for them. Nothing else beside him, but hey, you got him. Defensive-wise, they have Fletcher Cox. Darius Slay was a good pickup. Jalen Mills. The defense, pretty solid, but I don't think they'll be able to get the job done to push for the playoffs or anything that wise. I think 4-12 is what they'll end up going, and I think it's pretty solid for them. Your turn.
All right, my second place team at 6-10 is the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys, I just don't think they got it. I don't think they have the coaching staff. Like, Mike McCarthy was good, but, Mike McCarthy.
Yeah.
It all depends how he gets along with, like, Dak Prescott and his players and they just don't have the coaching staff. It's not the players. They have very good talent. Dak
They don't
Prescott.
use their talent very well.
If Dak Prescott is up and down, he'll have some really good weeks and some really bad weeks. But if Dak Prescott, if it doesn't work for him, they have veteran QB Andy Dalton. That was a solid pickup for a veteran backup. Running back, they have one of the best, Ezekiel Elliott. Ezekiel Elliott. Wide receivers, they have Amari Cooper. Very solid wide receiver when he gets the ball. Michael Gallup, he had a decent year last year. Tight end, they really don't have a tight end. Like, Jason Witten was their best tight end, and he still wasn't that very, very good. And now they lost him, so I don't know. For offensive line, they have a big loss in losing Travis Friedrich, who was very solid now that he retired. They still have people like Zach Martin. They do Tyron Smith, too. They have a very good offensive line. Defensive-wise, they have people like... They did pick up HaHa Clinton-Dix, which I think was a good pickup for them. They have Leighton Vander Esch, Chidobe Awuzie as a cornerback. They also have Sean Lee, who's getting up there in age for linebackers. I could see him having this being his last year, like next year being his last year. For defensive tackles, they have two solid defensive tackles in Jared McCoy and Dontari Poe. But they're also getting up there in age. Gerald McCoy's 32. Dontari Poe's 29, so not too old, but getting up there.
Get up there, yeah.
Go ahead, Trent.
Alright. So, second place for me, I also have the Cowboys. I have them going 9-7. Like you said, the talent is there. Coaching staff, not so much. Dak Prescott coming in at quarterback. Andy Dalton behind him in case he starts acting up. Running back, Ezekiel Elliott, Tony Pollard, decent duo. Elliott mainly leading the charge. Receivers, Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup. Very solid receiver core, and they also just picked up CeeDee Lamb, who supposedly was really good coming out of the draft. I'd like to see what he could do. Tight ends, Blake Jarwin, decent tight end. Not gonna hate. Right guard, Zach Martin. Once again, don't talk about the linemen that much, but Zach Martin is very good at right guard. In defense, they have DeMarcus Lawrence, Dontari Poe, Leighton Vander Esch, HaHa Clinton-Dix. Like you said, with the defense, pretty stout.
All right. My first place team at 9-7 is the Philadelphia Eagles. Carson Wentz. It almost all depends on Carson Wentz if he stays healthy or not. Because when Carson Wentz is healthy, he is an above-average quarterback. I'm not going to say he's like this elite or like a beast or something, but
It did look like it when he came out of the draft.
He did, though. He did, but it all depends if he stays healthy or not. Running back, they have Boston Scott. He's working his way up there. He had a breakout year last year, and I could see him stepping up and having an even better year this year. Wide receivers, he has Alshon Jeffrey, Deshaun Jackson, and they also have Marquise Goodwin now. So I could see that's a good trio for the Eagles. Tight end Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert, dynamic duo of tight ends. So they have all the weapons they need on offense. They even have a good offensive line with Jason Kelsey and Lane Johnson, people like that. They do so. Carson Wentz will definitely be able to get the ball off. It just depends on how he's throwing, and if he gets injured or not. If he gets injured, Nate Sudfeld or Kyle Aletta, or even Jalen Hurts, could come in for them. Defense, they have people like Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave, who Javon Hargrave is not the best. Don't get me wrong, but he is okay second defensive tackle, but Fletcher Cox obviously leading the way. Linebacker, they have cornerback, they have people like Avonte Maddox, Darius Slay, they picked up Darius Slay. That's a good pickup for them. And Rodney McLeod could he's an okay safety, but I just saw an article that one of the teams that Jamal Adams will most likely go to is the Philadelphia Eagles, which would even boost their defense even more. So if they get Jamal Adams, I could honestly, maybe a little even a little better than 9-7, like 11-5, or maybe even 12-4 if they get lucky enough. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. So first place for me, I have, a lot of people probably aren't going to like this, but I have the Giants going 9-7. Same as the Cowboys, but they did have a better division record. I think they're going to go 9-7 because Daniel Jones, he led them to quite a few wins last season, and I feel like he's really going to start up this season. Also, running back Saquon Barkley, as long as he can stay healthy, really solid. Dion Lewis behind him, just in case. And wide receivers, Sterling Shepard, Golden Tate. Sterling Shepard's mainly the best. They don't have too much at the wide receiver core, but they have enough. And coming in at tight end, Evan Ingram, very solid tight end to look for. And going on to the defense, they have Blake Martinez, DeAndre Baker, Jabril Peppers, probably getting up there in age a little bit. Just picked up Xavier McKinney in the draft. Just Dexter Lawrence. Just a pretty very solid defense.
Okay.
I just said pretty very a lot.
Cool.
Yeah, that didn't even make sense.
Yeah.
Alright, go ahead.
NFC West now. Last division before we get to the playoff bracket. But before we get to the playoff bracket, we're going to announce from 16 to 16th, last to first in both the AFC and NFC. So, last place for me in the NFC West, going at 8-8, which was very good for a last place team. The Los Angeles Rams. They, after losing Todd Gurley and even Clay Matthews, those were two big losses, but they just don't have the money to pay these guys, so they can't make, if they have a weak point, they're going to have to drop, one of their best players in order to get, improve on that position because they don't have much money. Jared Goff at QB, He's solid. He had a pretty good year 2 years ago when he went to the Super Bowl against the Patriots. Unfortunately, they lost. But he still had a solid year. Darrell Henderson Jr., we're going to see if he can take a step up to the plate. I just made a baseball reference when we were talking about football. Do maybe follow in Todd Gurley's footsteps, but we'll see how he does. And if he doesn't go well, they have Malcolm Brown. Wide receivers, they have Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, who are two solid wide receivers. They lost Brandon Cooks to the Texans, but I still think Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods could do good. Tight ends, they have Tyler Higbee. He's a decent tight end. For defense, they have Aaron Donald, one of the best in the game. MVP, like 2 or 3 years ago?
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Unfortunately, they lost Clay Matthews. They have Jalen Ramsey, who everyone thought he was going to be a star with the Rams, but you saw how that turned out.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't really like Jalen Ramsey. But, yeah. He hasn't done very well with the Rams. They have John Johnson III at safety, which is, what a weird name. John Johnson.
What a name, though.
I know, right?
John
Alright,
Johnson.
that's it for me. Go ahead, Trent.
Alright, last place for me in the NFC West, I have going 7-9, the 49ers. This is very debatable, but most of their games last season came down to the last second of them winning. So I think more of them could go out of their favor this season with Jimmy Garoppolo. Last season he didn't get injured. It was his first full season ever, and it definitely was a full season. He made it to the Super Bowl and everything. Came up short in the Super Bowl though, sadly. At running back, they have Raheem Mostert, Tevin Coleman, just very solid running back duo. And receivers, they have Deebo Samuel, Kendrick Bourne, just some pretty decent guys. Deebo Samuel, I believe, just broke his foot actually, and will be out for like maybe 6 weeks. Or no, I think it was actually 10 weeks starting now, so he might be back in time for the season, but he did just break his foot. And coming in at tight end, George Kittle, very solid. Very solid tight end. One of their best on their offense in terms of players. And coming in on defense, Nick Bosa, rushing the edge, really solid. I don't believe he'll have as big of a season as he did last year. He had a very good rookie season last season, and I believe he'll put up some numbers, but it just won't be nearly as good as last year. And Fred Warner, linebacker, decent. Richard Sherman, getting old, getting slower. But other than that, I think 7-9 is how they're going to end up going. And, yeah, your turn.
All right. Second place for me. I also have the 49ers, but they have 2 more wins. They are 9-7. Also, I'm going to have to agree with Trent. I think it was kind of a one-and-done year. Kind of like the Rams were. Kind of like a 2-and-done year. But they were, after they made it to the Super Bowl, they went way down last year. Didn't have very strong of a year. Had like an average year, but still not that strong. Jimmy Garoppolo, he's injury prone. Last year was one of those rare years that he didn't get injured.
Mm-hmm.
But when he is, he's I would say beast, but he's above average.
They ran some pretty good RPOs last season.
Yes, they did. Tevin Coleman and Raheem Mostert, as Trent said, very, very solid running back duo. At fullback, Kyle Juszczyk, one of the best fullbacks in the 2010s. Wide receiver, Deebo Samuel, broke his foot. Don't know when he'll be back. Probably early in the season. They also picked up Travis Benjamin, which is a good addition for that. They have Dante Pettis, who had a good year his first year, but last year he didn't have quite the year he had the first year. And by that I mean he didn't have a very good year at all. Tight end, George Kittle, a beast. I say he was the best in the league last year. Maybe can step it up and continue to be one of the best in the league, or even the best in the league like he was last year. Would you agree with me that he was the best in the league?
Who's that?
George Kittle.
Yes.
Nick Bosa now overshadowing his older brother, who used to be one of the best, but now it used to be Joey Bosa, Joey Bosa, Joey Bosa. Now it's Nick Bosa, Nick Bosa, Nick Bosa. Beast. I'm not sure. It could go either way with how good he does. Quan Alexander, very solid linebacker. Excuse me. Richard Sherman at cornerback, up and down. Some weeks he'll be like beasting it out, have like 1 or 2 interceptions, a lot of deflected passes, and then other weeks he'll like give up every pass that's thrown to him. Jaquiski Tart, he's a okay safety. Also on that list, Jamal Adams said that, or not Jamal Adams, but the article said that 49ers was one of the possibility of teams that he could go to, so that would also make their defense pretty good. Okay.
Cool. So, coming in second to last for me, third place, is the LA Rams at 8-8. I had them going 8-8 because of Jared Goff. I'd say average at best quarterback. Running back, they don't really have anything. Darrell Henderson Jr., Cam Akers, nothing too special there. Receiver core is pretty good. Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Josh Reynolds. A decent trio there. Tight end, Tyler Higbee, Gerald Everett. Pretty solid tight ends too. Everett did pretty good last season. And going on to the defensive side, they got Aaron Donald, who did pretty decent last season. 2 years ago, he had a very good season. Like you said, Jalen Ramsey didn't play to par whenever he came to the Rams.
Wait, hold on. Pause. Sorry to interrupt you, but notice that with the Rams, I made a baseball reference and you just made a golf reference.
Maybe the Rams just shouldn't play football.
Yeah, maybe they should go to golf or baseball instead.
That's just what we're saying here. Anywho,
Take the hint, Rams.
Huh?
I said take the hint, Rams.
Yeah. John Johnson, beautiful name. Maybe not as beautiful football player. Tyler Rapp, decent free safety. Michael Brockers also decent. I think 8-8, decent record for them, decent team, pretty solid.
Okay. All right, my second place team at 11-5 is the Seattle Seahawks. Russell Wilson, 31 now, but still has a zip on the ball as he always has. Chris Carson, very good running back. If he gets injured, they have Carlos Hyde, who has some experience and had a good years in the past. They also have Rashad Penny at running back, so that could be a good trio right there between Chris Carson, Carlos Hyde, and Rashad Penny. Wide receiver, they have Philip Dorsett now, Tyler Lockett, and DK Metcalf. That's 3 good wide receivers right there. They did lose, what's his name, who retired. Why can I not think of this? One of their wide receivers. What was his name?
Wide receiver that just retired.
From the Seahawks. While Trent's searching that up, I'll move on. Tight
I'm not
end.
typing anything. Doug Baldwin.
Doug Baldwin, that's his name. Yep. He just retired. He was good, but he retired. They lost him. Tight end, Will Dissly. He was a solid tight end last year. They also picked up Greg Olson, who has 14 years of experience, and who was really good, a really solid tight end in the past, but the last couple of years with the Panthers, he hasn't been the greatest. He's a little injury prone with his foot. He's had foot problems the past couple of years too. Defense. They have Shaquem Griffin, KJ Wright, Trey Flowers, Shaquille Griffin, Shaquille and Shaquem Griffin, Quandre Diggs, Seattle Seahawks. Also in the article was a possibility where Jamal Adams would be able to go.
That would just be insane.
I know. That'd make them insane. Alright, go ahead.
Alright, cool. Second place for me, I also have the Seahawks, and I also have them going 11-5. Russell Wilson, very elite quarterback, maybe getting up there in age, but he still has he still has some very good seasons to come. Running back, Chris Carson, Rashad Penny, Carlos Hyde also back there. Very, very good running back combo. Coming in at wide receiver, they have Tyler Lockett, very fast, very elusive. And also DK Metcalf, very tall. He was a very late draft pick last season, and he definitely played very solid for them. Philip Dorsett coming on to the Seahawks. Has he been on the Seahawks or
No?
Because I think he was on the Patriots.
Yep.
Yeah. And also at wide receiver, Josh Gordon just filed for reinstatement into the league because they have gotten rid of the what did they call it?
The drugs.
Yeah, I'll call it that. The drug
Issue.
They got rid of that rule thing, so he filed for reinstatement into the league, and he
For
had
like
a
the
Twitter
fourth-
post saying, "I liked the green or I like the green jerseys or something like that."
Yeah.
So
Also,
if he does get back in, it does look pretty positive that he's going for the Seahawks.
I also, if Josh Gordon makes it back in, this will be like what is like 4th time back in the league because he's got kicked out of the league like 3 or 4 times, something like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I still don't think he'll be that good.
He'll be there though.
He'll be there.
Tight end Greg Olson, like you said, had a very good season, last couple of seasons actually. Getting up there in age, but he can still perform, I should say. And then coming in at defense, they have Bobby Wagner, one of the best linebackers in the league right now, I'd say. KJ Wright, beside him, Shaquille Griffin, Quandre Diggs, Quentin Dunbar, Bradley McDougald. Just very solid defense. Can definitely perform. And yeah, I think Seahawks 11-5, making a playoff run just sounds great.
Yep. Also at 11-5, or in first place for me, also at 11-5, but I think I have them winning more division games, is the Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray, last year he was developed a solid quarterback last year. This year he could turn out to be like a beast. He's short, that's the problem, but it's okay
Yes.
because he can throw and run the ball.
5'11". That's tough.
5'10".
5'10".
Yeah.
That's even tougher.
I know. At running back, they have Kenyon Drake. He's looking very good for them. Got Kenyon Drake, got rid of old David Johnson, who was good in his past, but old.
Getting washed out.
Wide receivers, like, oh my goodness, they have Christian Kirk was a very good wide receiver last year, young, fast wide receiver. Larry Fitzgerald has always been one of the best. Still keep signing those 1-year contracts with the Cardinals. He has 17 years. This will be his 17th year in the league this year.
I think if it wasn't for Kyler Murray, he wouldn't have stayed
No,
this
I
season.
think if they didn't have a quarterback, then I think he'd
He'd
be
be
out.
gone.
And obviously, their biggest move, they traded an old guy for one of the best wide receivers in the league.
Oh, Bill O'Brien.
Oh my, classic
what are you
Bill.
doing?
DeAndre Hopkins going to be a very, very good addition. I don't think DeAndre Hopkins will have the same numbers, but I still think he'll do just as good. But I think the reason he won't have as good as numbers is because he also has Larry Fitzgerald and Christian Kirk with him. And even Kenyon Drake, who's also a receiving back. Tight end, they need one. They need a tight end.
Can I just say that what Max is spelled with 2 X's?
I know, right?
Max
With
Williams is their tight end. That's why I'm saying this, and his
Yeah, I
first
know, I
name
know.
is spelled Maxx.
I know that. Yeah, that's weird. And if you look a little lower, at where is it? Guard Max Garcia, the normal. I'll let you cover defense since I think you also have. This
Yes,
thing.
I also have the Cardinals in first place in the NFC West. I have them going 14-2 though. Okay. For defense, they have Patrick Peterson, Buda Baker,
Buda
Chandler
Baker.
Jones. Isaiah Simmons was a good pickup in the draft. He fell very late. Fell or felled? How is that even pronounced?
I don't know.
Anyway, he fell very late.
They got
in the
Chris
draft,
Banjo.
Huh?
Chris Banjo.
Chris Banjo coming in
Chris
at
Banjo and Taco
free
Charlton.
safety. Taco. Good old Taco. Yeah, Chandler Jones, Patrick Peterson, probably repeating some people right here. Byron Murphy.
Yeah,
Just a very great defense. And I think 14-2 may be a little much, but I think that they're decked.
All right. If you combined Taco Charlton and Chris Banjo, you'd get Chris Charlton and Taco Banjo. Oh, man.
Imagine.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
Oh man.
Taco Banjo.
Taco Banjo.
If Chris Banjo ever has a kid, he has to name it Taco. Taco Banjo.
You just walking down the street. Hey, Taco Banjo, what's up?
Everyone's like, "What the heck? What kind of nickname's that?" It's not a nickname. It's my name.
It is my name.
Now it is time from 16 to 1. Announce the seeds. We'll go AFC first. So
I think one of us should just go the whole way out, and then the next person goes the whole way out.
All right. I'll
You
go
can
first.
start.
I'll go first for AFC. You go first for NFC.
All right, sounds good.
So 16 in 16th place in the AFC, in the entire league, for a matter of fact, is none other than the 0-16 Jets. We're not going to go into depth because we've already went into depth with these. So
You can just go through them.
Yep.
Nice and easy.
At 15th, at 4-12, the New England Patriots. 14th, at 5-11, the Jacksonville Jaguars. 13th, 6-10, the Los Angeles Chargers. I almost said San Diego Chargers.
Ooh.
The LA Chargers. At 12th, at 7-9, the Cleveland Browns. At 11th, also 7-9, the Cincinnati Bengals. At 10th, once again, also 7-9, the Las Vegas Raiders. I almost said Oakland Raiders, but I mean that's more.
That's more reasonable.
Because they're just moving to Las
Yeah.
Vegas this year.
We
At
probably
9th,
said Oakland during the beginning.
we probably did.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
bet
well.
you. I bet you. I know we did for 100%.
I know we did too.
Yeah. At 9th, at 8-8, the Houston Texans. At 8th, this is the team who just missed the playoffs. At 8-8, the Miami Dolphins.
All right, let's hear the playoff teams.
The 7th seed, at 9-7, the Baltimore Ravens. At 6th seed, at 10-6, the Kansas City Chiefs. At 5th seed, at 10-6, also at 10, at 10-6, also at 10-6, the Indianapolis Colts. In 4th seed, also at 10-6, the Buffalo Bills. At 3rd seed, guess what? They're also 10-6, the Denver Broncos. In 2nd, at 11-5,
There it changes.
the last team before the team who gets a bye, the Tennessee Titans. Did not get a bye. The team with the bye, first seed at 13-3, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oof. All right, cool. I will say my AFC teams now. 16th, coming in at 2-14, is going to be the New England Patriots. 15th, also 2-14, is the New York Jets. A little more generous than Rafe once again.
A little too generous, if you ask me.
14th is also 2-14. It's the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, we have the same bottom three.
Our Jets and Patriots are just flipped around.
Yep.
13th, 4-12 is the Broncos. I don't have as much faith in them as Rafe does. 12 is the Las Vegas Raiders at 5-11. 11 is the 6-10 Ravens. Once again, probably a little harsh, but I believe Lamar will get injured. 10th place is the Dolphins, 7-9. 9th place, 2 spots away from the playoffs, is 8-8, and it's the Indianapolis Colts. 8th place, also 8-8. The one who just barely misses the playoffs is going to be the Cleveland Browns. 7th is 8-8 as well, but they did make the playoffs, and it's the Los Angeles Chargers. And 6th place, also 8-8, Tennessee Titans. 5th place, 11-5, Joe Burrow and the Bengals. 4th place, also 11-5, the Tennessee Texans. Wow. Houston Texans is what I was looking for. And they are going to be 11-5, as I said. I don't know why I'm repeating myself. But anyway,
The Tennessee
3rd place.
Texans.
What's that?
The Tennessee Texans.
Tennessee Texans. Oh boy.
And the
3rd
Houston
place,
Texans.
12-4, Pittsburgh Steelers. 2nd place, 13-3, the Buffalo Bills. And in 1st place, 14-2, the Kansas City Chiefs.
All right. NFC, you get to go first this time.
Alright, NFC 16th place, also the worst in the league, is going to be the Washington Redskins.
The Washington Redskins.
Coming in at 1-15. Going on to 15th, it's 4-12, and it's going to be the Eagles. 14, 5-11, the Atlanta Falcons. Moving up to 13, 6-10 Vikings. Once again, don't have as much faith as Rafe does in the Minnesota Vikings. Moving on to 12th, a lot of haters, but 7-9 Buccaneers. 11th, 7-9 the 49ers. Probably also a lot of haters, but oh well. 10th is the 8-8 Rams. 9th is the 9-7 Panthers. 8th, who just misses the playoffs, coming in at 9-7, is going to be the Cowboys. 7th is where we get into the playoffs. 9-7, going to be the Chicago Bears with Nick Foles coming in late. 6th, 10-6, is going to be the Green Bay Packers. 5th, going 11-5, is going to be the Seattle Seahawks. 4th, coming in at 9-7, is going to be the New York Giants. 3rd, coming in at 13-3, is going to be the Detroit Lions. 2nd, coming in at 13-3, is going to be the New Orleans Saints. And 1st, coming in at 14-2, is going to be the Arizona Cardinals.
All right.
Answered.
While Rafe has a quick intermission, I will tell you what the bracket for me is looking like. So it'll be Saints versus Bears, Giants versus Seahawks, and Packers versus Lions for the NFC wild card, with the 1 seed bye going to the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
In the AFC, the wild card is going to be the Cincinnati Bengals against the Tennessee Texans. Almost said it again. How sad. The Houston Texans, the LA Chargers versus the Bills, and the last wildcard game will be the Titans versus the Steelers. I don't know when Rafe will be back, but until then, I will just give my playoff predictions. So for the wild card, AFC, Bengals versus Texans. I have chosen the Bengals to defeat the Texans. Joe Burrow, I just feel he'll overpower Deshaun Watson. And the next game, Steelers versus Titans, I feel the Steelers have the advantage over the Titans and will beat them to move on. Chargers versus Bills. Bills, pretty solid squad. I believe they will beat the Chargers. And in the NFC, it will be the Seahawks versus the Giants, and I feel the Seahawks will beat the Giants. Although I had all that faith in the Giants, I feel the Seahawks will beat them in the wild card. And next game, Packers versus Lions. I feel the Lions will beat the Packers because I have tons of faith in the Lions. Why? I don't know. Next will be the Bears versus the Saints. I feel the Bears will beat the Saints because it wouldn't be the Saints if they didn't somehow mess up in the playoffs. Moving on to the divisional, it will be Steelers versus Bills. I think the Bills will win over the Steelers, sadly. Next will be the Bengals versus the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs will beat the Bengals and move on to the AFC divisional, or the conference championship, sorry. And in the NFC, it will be the Seahawks versus the Lions. I feel the Lions will beat the Seahawks and move on to the NFC Championship. Next game will be Bears versus Cardinals. I think the Cardinals will beat the Bears with Larry Fitzgerald and DeAndre Hopkins, Kyler Murray, that squad, you know. AFC Championship, Bills versus Chiefs. I feel the Chiefs will beat the Bills and go to the Super Bowl once again. Lions versus Cardinals. in the NFC Championship to go to the Super Bowl, I think the Cardinals will take it and go to the Super Bowl. And for the Super Bowl matchup, it will be the Chiefs versus the Cardinals, and I think the Cardinals will just barely beat the Chiefs, and Larry Fitzgerald will probably retire after he gets his Super Bowl ring with Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins and the squad. I see that Rafe is back for perfect timing. I just finished announcing all my playoff predictions and who's winning the Super Bowl, so you can announce who is last to first for your NFC, and then say your playoff predictions.
Yep. Sorry, everybody. That was kind of an important phone call. No further details needed. 16th for me, going at 4-12, the Washington Redskins. 15th for me, also at 4-12. From the same division, the New York Giants. 14th, probably even more haters than Trent's going to get. 5-11th, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 13th, 6-10, may be a little generous, the Atlanta Falcons. 12th, at 6-10, the Dallas Cowboys. 11th, at 7-9, the Detroit Lions. Trent.
Ha ha ha.
Quick, when we first did this, Trent actually had the Lions at what, first seed in the entire thing at 14-2?
No. They were second. I had them
second.
going 14-2. I changed them to lose to the Saints, I believe. I don't know why I had them winning that game to begin with.
All right. I just don't know why they're 13-3.
Hey.
At 10th, at 8-8, the L.A. Rams. I almost said St. Louis. Oh my gosh, where's my head at today?
I said Tennessee Texans, so.
Yeah.
I said it again while you were gone, just saying.
9th at 8-8, the Green Bay Packers. 8 at the team who's just missing the playoffs. 9-7, may get some haters, not as much as Trent for this one. The San Francisco 49ers. 7th seed, the team who just barely made the playoffs. At 9-7, also the Carolina Panthers. At 6th seed, at 10-6, the Chicago Bears.
Ass.
Dubbers.
Dubbers.
At 5th, at 11-5, the Seattle Seahawks. At 4th, at 9-7, the Philadelphia Eagles. At 3rd seed, at 11-5, the Arizona Cardinals. At 2nd seed, at also 11-5, the New Orleans Saints. And at 1st seed, at 13-3, the Minnesota Vikings. All right, on to my playoffs.
Let's see it, or hear it, or whatever.
So, first matchup for the AFC, the 7th seed Ravens versus the 2 seed Titans. I have the 2 seed Titans taking this one with Derrick Henry, Beast Mode Henry. It used to be Beast Mode Marshawn Lynch, now it's Beast Mode Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry pushing through the Ravens' run defense, because we all know how that will go. Maybe with the addition of Jarrell Casey, right? Or no?
I think they've had Jarrell Casey, haven't they?
I know. I think they traded for someone over the offseason.
Yeah.
I think Calais Campbell, it might have been.
Calais Campbell's on the Ravens.
I think that was it. They traded for him. But
No,
Calais
Campbell got traded to the Ravens.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was saying.
My bad.
The Ravens' run defense may be a tiny bit better, but I still think that Derrick Henry could just push through the defense. Maybe even another blowout like it was last year. So I have the Titans taking that one. Now, next, the 6th seed Chiefs at the 3 seed Broncos.
Mm.
Chiefs versus Broncos. Division match, always a good game. Even if
Let's just hear who you got winning.
I actually have the Broncos winning this one. Upset, I
Whoa.
know. Upset, I know. Actually, kind of. They are a higher seed than the Chiefs, but upset, I know. But I just have faith in Drew Lock this year. I think if Drew Lock is good this year, then I could see Drew Lock making a run to the playoffs and even a little further, down the playoffs. Now, the most interesting one, the 5 seed at the 4 seed. That's always going to be the most interesting one because they're the closest. Usually. The 5 seed Colts at the 4 seed Bills, and I have the Colts winning this one. I have the Colts winning. I just think the Colts overall have a better offense with more experienced Phillip Rivers. And like I said, I think Phillip Rivers, since it's probably going to be his last year, he's going to make a run. He's going to try to make a deep run into the playoffs, and I think that'll push him in the wild card game to ultimately get the game winner over the Bills. And I think it'll be maybe like a 27-24 game, or maybe even an overtime game, like a 26-20 with a game-winning touchdown or something like that. But I could see that being a close game. For the NFC, the 7 seed at the 2 seed, 7 seed Panthers, 2 seed Saints, and I think it's very obvious I'm going to pick the Saints. Now the Panthers, I think, are going to have a better year than they did last year when they went like 5-11 or something like that, or 6-10 something. But the Saints, it's the Saints. 11-5, not as good as their 13-3, but I still think the Saints will take this win over the Carolina Panthers, probably by a big margin too. Although you never know, the Saints are known for choking in the playoffs. Obviously, you saw what happened last year in the Vikings.
Yeah.
Which was kind of depressing because the Saints or the Vikings were actually my winner pick for the Super Bowl last year. And I was like, if I was kind of hoping the Saints would win because that'd be a more like pick, but the Vikings were my backup, and the Vikings won, and I was like, well, I lose.
Yep. No more.
Yeah.
Nothing for me.
3 years in a row, they lost on like last minute things or controversial call.
So sad.
And 2 of them were against the Vikings.
And one was the ref's fault. Well, we can give him that.
Yeah, the Rams.
The Rams one was definitely the ref's fault.
Yeah, the Rams.
But
Saints. But it was funny because the refs messed up both in the Patriots and Rams game. And it honestly, that Super Bowl that year should have been Chiefs versus Saints, with ultimately the Saints winning. Most likely. Only for the Chiefs to come back and get a win the next year.
I would have preferred to either see Mahomes versus Goff or Breeze versus Brady.
Or
I think that would have been one of those
Mahomes
two would have been
versus
the ideal
Breeze.
situation.
What about Mahomes versus Breeze?
Yeah, but then it could be fun.
Yeah.
Anything other than what happened could have been fun.
Anything except the Patriots winning would have been fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Be honest.
Yeah. Ow.
Okay, Rafe is hurting himself.
Ow. Alright, I'm just
Rafe's ear is hurting right now.
Ow. Alright. The 6 seed Bears at the 3 seed Cardinals. I have the Cardinals taking this one. I don't see Nick Foles making another, ultimate run to the Super Bowl, like he did with the Eagles a few years back. And I see the Cardinals, Kyler Murray just coming back. Everyone's like, yeah, Nick Foles is going to make a run, and then Kyler Murray comes out and just disappoints everyone with a blowout against the Bears, like a 20-7 game, or even like a 27-10 game, something like that. 5 versus 4. Seahawks at the Eagles, and I'm going to be honest, I have the Eagles winning this one. This was probably the toughest out of all the wild card matches, followed closely behind the Broncos and the Chiefs one. But this is the one I thought the most on because they both have their pros and cons. But I have the Eagles coming out. Carson Wentz wants redemption after getting hurt last year against the Seahawks, and he comes out and just again. It could be a close game. It could be like a 17-14 game or something like that. But I see the Eagles winning this one. All right, division rounds. Titans at Broncos. Now I know what you all are thinking. Broncos, no way they get past the divisional round if they even make it to the playoffs. Well, you're in for a little surprise. I have the Broncos beating the Titans.
Oh, man.
To
be fair, though, I did have the Lions beating the Seahawks to go to the championship as well.
All right. Yeah. I mean, mine is at least 10-6, not 13-3.
Yeah, but they make it to the conference championship.
So does the Lions for you.
Yeah, true. To be fair, there's got to be one team that just comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to
Yes.
pick out that team.
Yeah, that one team for me is the Broncos. That one team for him is the Lions.
Never been to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, at least, the Broncos been to 8 and they've only won like 3. Pathetic. Honestly, if you make it to a Super Bowl, like most teams, like the Packers made it to like 6 or 7 and they've won like 5. Steelers made it to 8, they've won 6. That's how it should be. It shouldn't be like the Patriots. They have a terrible win-loss percentage. They've made it to, 11 or 12, and they've only won 6? Like, if the Steelers made it to 11 or 12, if they made it to 11, they'd probably win, 8 or 9. If they made it to 12, they'd probably win, 9 or 10. Let's be honest here. Colts at Steelers. I don't think this is much of a matchup. Steelers win by a landslide because
Ben versus Rivers could be somewhat fun, I guess.
Rivers would throw at least 7 interceptions. But the Steelers, they're known also for choking in the playoffs.
Yes.
Well, at least in the 2010s, maybe not before then, but in the 2010s, they were choke-fied. I don't know what that means, but they choked a lot. 2015, they were predicted to win against the Ravens. They didn't. The year they went 13-3, that was 2017. The Jaguars won the first game, and everyone was like, "Oh, they'll crush the Jaguars." Well, they lost 45-42.
Yeah.
Depressing. But I think the Steelers. I think being it's Ben's last couple of years, I think he'll really go all out because I think Ben wants at least another Super Bowl appearance.
Mm-hmm.
Division rounds for the NFC. Saints at Cardinals. The Saints at Cardinals. I have the Cardinals winning over the Saints. I just think it's that year for the Cardinals that the Cardinals will make it to the Super Bowl. And I'm pretty sure, I was out of the room, but Trent, didn't you say that the Cardinals won your Super Bowl?
Yes.
Yep, against the Chiefs.
Yes.
Yep. Cardinals, breakout year for Kyler Murray. That's kind of my team for the NFC that's a surprise. My team for the NFC is the Cardinals. My team for the AFC is the Broncos. Yours is the Lions for the NFC. The AFC, it's... Who is it?
Wait, what?
Yeah, who's your surprise team for the AFC?
Oh, the AFC? Ooh. Probably the Bengals.
The Bengals, yeah. Yeah, I'd say that the Bengals would be his surprise team for the AFC. But I just see the Cardinals making a deep run in the playoffs, especially for Larry Fitzgerald. Maybe his last year. He may sign for another 1-year contract.
He may sign for another year. Who knows?
Yeah.
I think if he wins the Super Bowl, he's not coming back.
No, I don't think. I think he'll end on a good note, or even make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Eagles
to the playoffs.
He's optimistic at this point. He's like, guys, I've been in here a while. Let's just at least make a run. and that's all I want.
9-7 sounds good for me.
Yes. As long as we make the 7th seed, I'm fine. Eagles at the Vikings. I have the Vikings taking it over the Eagles. I just think the Vikings will be an overall better team than the Eagles. Vikings, not as big as a surprise as like the Lions, 13-3. Vikings at least made it to the playoffs last year at 10-6. All they'd have to do is get 3 more wins, and they did it a few years ago at 13-3. But yeah, let's go to the conference championship. Broncos at Steelers. I have the Broncos run finally coming to an end, and I have the Steelers winning over the Broncos. Broncos, unfortunately for them, Drew Lock is not going to get outdone over Ben Roethlisberger and Juju, Deontay Johnson, James Washington, and crew, and their defense too. Cardinals at Vikings for the NFC Conference Championship. I have the Cardinals. Winning over the Vikings as an upset against the Vikings, because, you know, the Vikings. The Cardinals winning, going to the Super Bowl, I think they'll have an overall better team. Steelers and Cardinals in the Super Bowl. The winner of my Super Bowl is the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Ooh.
Maybe a bias. Maybe a little bit of bias, but I could honestly see that happening. The Steelers have a strong team, strong offense and defense. Last year, I think if they had Ben, I think they would have made the playoffs. I think they would have at least been like 11-5 or 12-4. But since they didn't have Ben, I mean 8-8 still pretty good with a backup quarterback. You'd expect a backup quarterback to go like 2-14 at best. But no, I think Mason Rudolph inducted okay. I still think they did bad. But Steelers, it was really their defense that did them last year. But I think Steelers now have a great offense and defense, and that is my winner. All right, guys. Next,
Alright, that's it.
yep.
Go. Who's doing the outro? You want to do the outro?
We can both do the. I'm gonna say next episode, we are going to do the NHL playoff predict. We're going to predict the NHL.
24 team playoffs that are supposed to happen.
Yeah, which will probably happen. We're going to predict that. And just so you know, we are also Penguins fans. So you also may... But the Penguins are good. They have Jake Gensel. They have Crosby. They have Malkin. They have Zucker. They have good players. They have Hornquist. They have a lot of good players. Okay. Well, that's going to be it for us.
Thanks for tuning in. And we will see you all hopefully in the next one.
Yep, on Thursday. That's our next episode. That's when it's coming out. The episode is coming out. Our schedule is Tuesday, Thursday, Friday.
Alright, cool.
Cool. See you guys later.
See ya.